Hello and welcome to the final episode of the AI Frontier series, a global collaboration between Reuters Plus and KPMG. I'm your host, Nadira Tudor, and today we're examining one of the most dynamic and challenging sectors for AI transformation, retail. In this series, we've explored the effects of AI across sectors as varied as life sciences and industrial manufacturing, and a clear pattern has emerged. Success requires not just technological transformation, but fundamental organisational change. This is particularly apparent in retail, a sector where legacy systems and traditional operating models are colliding with the promise of intelligent supply chains and personalised customer experiences. Today, we'll hear from two KPMG retail transformation leaders and an experienced board advisor. Let's start our discussion in London with Linda Ellett, Head of Consumer Retail and Leisure at KPMG UK. Hello, Linda. Thank you for joining us.
Hello, Nadira. Great to be here.
Linda, KPMG's research shows that 47% of retailers say AI has become a core part of their business, yet many seem stuck in what we're calling proof of concept fatigue. What's preventing retailers from scaling their AI initiatives beyond isolated pilots?
It's easy to get excited when we hear CEOs and leaders talking about all the great things that they're doing with AI. And not surprisingly, they want to talk about it because investors are doing AI readiness assessments, looking at how to unlock value. But you're right, in practice, actually scaling is proving harder. As one example, a retailer I know had rolled out a co-pilot license to all their store managers, but nobody had really showed them how to use it. So someone was looking over someone's shoulder, scrolling through Teams messages, trying to understand the themes. And they quickly pointed out that if you just press the button, co-pilot button, there it was for you. And that's a great example that where a pilot had been done and the thought hadn't been given to how are we going to upskill people? Who's going to do the training? When's it going to happen? How's it going to be funded? And actually, how are colleagues going to work differently? And indeed, are people ready to work differently? And all of that needs to be thought about in the pilot stage before you get to looking to scale it.
It's really important to ask those questions, Linda, so thank you for outlining those. And there's intense pressure on retailers right now. How should leaders in the sector be thinking about balancing short-term returns with longer-term transformation?
I mean, that's the question for every leader, isn't it? Short-term versus long-term. In retail, we have to remember how short-term is. So if you've got a fridge full of product, then if that fridge stops working, within a few hours, you've got thousands of pounds worth of product that now is wasted and that cost. But that's a good example. So if a retailer invests in smart fridges that can give data, then you can use the AI to actually look at predictive issues and do predictive maintenance. That reduces your maintenance costs. It also reduces the chance of having all of that loss of stock and actually the customer impact of not having that stock available. So what feels like a big long-term investment, retailers tell us can have a very fast payback, in fact, often under a year. But we do need to think about long-term as well when we're thinking about AI. So we talk about AI as the ultimate double agent. So at the same time as making things better for retailers, it's also enabling consumers to use AI. So consumers can now use agents to go and look at options for products they want to buy, where they're going to buy it, different pricing opportunities as well. And so retailers need to be really thinking in a world where consumers aren't necessarily directly shopping with them, what does retailing through personal agents mean? And having that eye on the long term at the same time as using AI for the short term. And of course, balancing that decision on where I place my capital expenditure is about having good models on ROI and making sure you're thinking about the value that it's delivering to the retailer in every way.
And there have been some fascinating creative applications of this tech, from AI-designed packaging to virtual fashion shows. How important is this experimental, innovative approach?
Experiments and use cases are a really important part of getting organisations excited about AI and giving leaders a chance to learn and try things out. But then you have to think about, well, what's right for each retailer is going to depend on what their business model is. So for a luxury business, then virtual fashion shows and using AI in them, that's super exciting. But maybe for a lower margin online clothing retailer, you're more looking at something like virtual try-ons or even predictive sizing. And then if you then go down to grocery, very low margin, again, we're back to consumers want choice, they want quality, and they want low prices. So finding the opportunities to use AI to improve all of those metrics is what will deliver the value to the business. So yes, it's good to experiment, but make sure that the experiments you're doing and those that you choose to scale are really in service of the business model that you have.
AI is important to retailers, but they are struggling with the implementation. How best to get their teams on board, how to build confidence in AI-driven decisions, how to develop the right skills internally. So for leaders wanting to embed AI as a true competitive advantage rather than just another tech tool, where do you think they should start the process to best drive genuine return on investment?
Just two things it's really important to think about to get that embedding. The first one is trust. So colleagues need to believe that AI is there to help them do their job better, and importantly, not to take their job away. They also need to trust the output. So we still have too many cases of AI hallucinations, as they get called, or AI just getting it wrong. And so colleagues don't feel able to trust it, and even if they use it, they're then double checking everything. The second is around upskilling. So people don't necessarily naturally know how to use these tools, and they just need to be shown. We had one CEO of a retailer say to us he'd taken 200 leaders through training, and they described it as going from AI curious to AI serious. And then he then charged those leaders with going away to their part of the business and coming back with use cases that would really drive value for them. And that's a great example of how you really upskill and enable and embed that AI. So two things: trust by colleagues and then really upskilling. That's the secret.
Thanks, Linda. Those insights and tips really set the scene for today's exploration of the challenges and opportunities that lie ahead in the retail space.
Thank you very much, Nadira. It's been great to talk to you about this.
Let's cross now to Gurugram in India and Puneet Mansukhani, a National Sector Head for Retail and Global Retail Head for Digital and Technology Transformation at KPMG India. Hello, Puneet. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, Nadir. How are you doing?
Now, data management appears to be one of the primary challenges for retailers. KPMG's research shows 74% identify it as their primary barrier to AI scaling. What does it take to build the data foundations that AI truly needs?
Yeah, so I mean, this is an important one, all right? So as we are seeing retailers kind of getting closer to the consumers and the consumers' needs changing, data structure becomes very important, which essentially means that you need to make sure that you are not having a lot of siloed systems. And if you talk about retail, historically, you have a point of sale, you have an e-commerce system, you have a separate logistics system, an ERP, which makes sure that your data is quite siloed. And it is super important that you bring the structure into place to make sure that an AI engine can really sit on top of that structure and get things going for you. So that to me is very important. And secondly, it is super crucial that you are kind of aligning to the needs of your consumers and taking the feedback in a manner which allows a lot of these AI engines to kind of proactively come out with feedbacks which can allow the retailers to bring in those modifications quickly.
That idea of data simplification is one AI agents may well be able to solve, and we're seeing the emergence of those in retail. So how do you see agents reshaping that retail operating model?
Yeah, so as you rightly pointed out, right? So the whole idea is to move into simplification. And as we move into simplification, you have to have a role of relooking at your infrastructure, relooking at your technology sets, and therefore simplification does come in as at the core of it all. Now, these agents are nothing else but intelligent systems which allows you to take decisions rather than being reactive. So it's moving into proactive, which means AI is in a position to help you take decisions for your consumer, whether it is about building a refined promotion, or also looking at a right fitment from logistics operations, which means what should be the transport load going to a retail store, so on and so forth. So from an operational efficiency to a consumer efficiency, AI is in a position to really put things up for you, and simplification obviously sits on the core for it all.
Now, despite how clearly you've just put that, only a quarter of retailers say they have a clear vision for AI transformation. What, in your opinion, does a successful strategy look like in retail?
It's difficult to say one size fits all, right? So it's different for different retailers, but effectively what I would want to do is have a very clear visibility of what your goals are, what your business objectives are. How is that you really want to bring in your products into the consumer? How efficiently are you leading your omni-channel business? Are you in a position to bring a seamless environment for your consumer from a physical to a digital format? Also making sure whether you're empowering your salespeople to give you, use AI for benefits rather than just looking at it from a reporting perspective, which means that the salespeople are now moving to a supervisory role than a transactional role. So it's all about bringing in those efficiencies into the system for the right things to take place.
And AI transformation is moving so fast. Let's think about the short to medium term now. What will the intelligent retailer of the future look like? And how can those leaders that you advise build the capabilities to get there?
The intelligent retailer is somebody who is clearly focused on the goals, okay? And the goal for a retailer is to make sure that they are having good revenue growth, right product categories, and also getting connected to the consumer. So if we try to look at this, AI is sitting on top of it to really help them reach there. So if there is a way by which they can identify their categories, their product, and align it to the client's needs, that's how they will start moving in the right direction. Make sure that they are working very closely with a lot of these tech partners which is a combination of large OEMs and startups. Try to move towards a fail fast strategy, which really allows them to make sure that they are not investing a huge amount of time in experimenting with things, but are trying to take those quick leap of faith with technology supporting them. Also making sure that as they grow into this journey, they are continuously learning and improvising, because the needs are changing, the customers are changing, their ability to connect with the brand is pretty short. So we need to make sure that there are inputs which are being taken in by the consumer on a regular basis. The technology is kind of supporting those inputs and allowing them to move to the next level.
Puneet, thank you for that perspective on this rapid retail transformation. These strategic and technical challenges are clearly significant, but so are the opportunities. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot.
Now let's gain a different perspective from Benedetto Conversano, a non-executive director, advisor, entrepreneur and ex-CIO who has spent his career in retail and consumer goods. Hello, Benedetto. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, Nadira. Thanks for having me.
Benedetto, KPMG's research shows that while 47% of retailers say AI is core to their business, most are stuck running isolated pilots that never scale. What separates organisations that successfully scale AI from those trapped in endless experimentation?
Yeah, and actually it doesn't surprise me that still many retailers, many companies have not been able to realize the value from AI. Because I believe, despite we have such a powerful technology, the mistakes we have been doing in the last 20 years in terms of digital transformation continue to be done. And what are the typical mistakes of digital transformation project? We don't start with a clear business objective in mind, and we pretend to buy a technology and then just a way to use it. It doesn't work. Organizations that succeed are the ones that have very clear in mind the business problem that they want to solve, what are the objectives, and then bring in the right technology for the right reason. What's the right reason for AI? Well, when you want to find correlations and causality, among, in a big amount of data. That's one reason. When you want to do prediction, or when you want to do simulation at high speed. If we don't understand how to use the technology, then it's like complaining that we have a Ferrari that makes 300 kilometers per hour and we pretend to go fast in the streets of Cairo. It doesn't work.
Now, Linda just emphasised the importance of trust, both in AI outputs and in reassuring colleagues that the tech is there to help them, not replace them. How have you seen boards successfully navigate this human dimension of transformation while still driving the necessary organisational change?
And I would say actually the human dimension of transformation is the most important element of transformation I've seen in my 30 years running digital transformation. So trust, we need to start with education. Successful organizations are the ones that have been able to craft an effective education program so that from the boardroom below, everybody understands really what we are talking about. In one advisory board where I serve, we have even a professor from the academics who is constantly helping us understand better what the technology really can do. The second element, and it goes back to understanding what we are talking about, the trust towards AI has been eroded by the first unsuccessful experiment with Gen AI, which is only a part of it. And hallucinations were very common 2 years ago. They are much less common now. And but still people, don't believe really AI is saying the right thing. But actually, it's Gen AI that a couple of years ago had much more problems. The most traditional and good old-fashioned component of AI, which is machine learning and deep learning, is scientifically proven to be much more accurate in outcomes than what a human being can do. And then there is the third element, which is there is too much sales of creating efficiency with the adoption of AI, cut costs, reduce people, which is, of course, frightening people. And then we want to run initiatives that are AI-driven, and it's like inviting turkeys for Thanksgiving, right? I don't believe efficiency is really what we are going after here. I think it's effectiveness and improvement of business processes.
And from a governance standpoint, what are the critical questions directors should be asking to ensure both value creation and responsible AI deployment?
So we have been talking about value creation, how to improve the value creation. I would like to focus more on the area of governance, which is really a concerning thing. And I don't want to create fear, but being objective in understanding that especially because now I have to mention Gen AI, there is so much of misinformation, disinformation, malinformation created out there, and these are three distinct type of problem that company need to be aware of. And I think stepping up the internal governance of the company so that there is a way to filter and the information that gets into the company so that employees cannot be misled in the decision that they are making is extremely important. It's a new type of problems that organizations need to resolve.
And finally, Benedetto, you've always focused on delivering results while building sustainable capabilities. As we look ahead, what advice would you give to retail executives who need to balance immediate AI wins with longer-term organizational transformation?
Well, in the short term, I have no doubt. I think the big opportunity that comes with AI, so the business problem to be resolved, is improving customer experience. There are too many retailers where both the physical and the digital customer journey is really broken. And then, of course, you lose customer, basically, and you lose business. So I think focusing on this aspect of the business can be very quickly incredible results. And for the long term, my advice would be to companies start to relook at their business strategy with an AI lens. Because the potential that this brings to the business is immense. And again, I want to underline, it's not cost saving, it's about effectiveness of business processes and quality of decision making. And I think organizations who are delaying too much this change in their strategic approach may not be there simply in a few years.
Benedetto, your cross-industry and board-level perspective adds crucial dimension to understanding how retailers can move from experimentation to genuine transformation. Thank you for those insights.
Thank you, Nadira.
I do hope you've enjoyed this exploration of AI's role in transforming the retail sector and indeed all of the industries we've covered in this unique global series. I would like to thank all the guests who have joined us to share their insights during the filming of AI Frontiers and our sponsors, KPMG. This is clearly a pivotal moment for businesses. Change is happening fast and reshaping many companies, but the excitement and opportunities this is unlocking along the way has been clearly articulated in each episode. Thank you for joining me for these timely discussions. Goodbye for now.